What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the most wonderful time of the year. No, I'm not talking Christmas. I'm talking year and album lists. These lists are always my favorite, but this year, for some reason, I worked especially hard. I worked harder than I ever have on any assignment I've had in like 16 years of being in the academic world. I listened to somewhere between 100 and 150 albums total, all genres, all corners of the music world. I've distilled it to both a top 40, which is a blog post that I will link in the description, and for this YouTube channel, I've distilled it to a top 15. It'll be a 3-parter with 5 albums per video. I think the overall thesis here before we even get started is that if you are a living, breathing, relatively healthy music fan in 2015, you are a lucky motherfucker. This year was simply mind-blowing. Pop, hip-hop, EDM, metal, rock, country, there were monumental moments in every genre. Now with these lists, as much as we try to pretend otherwise, it really just comes down to subjective enjoyment. These albums are my favorites. A lot of them have a critical consensus that says there is artistic merit in what they are doing and saying, but in general, it's still going to come down to what did you enjoy, what did you connect with, and that's totally cool. That's what makes this debate so much fun, because no one is going to have the same list. But that being said, I feel like this list covers a lot of the genres that at least I have a hand in. But still, it's what I liked. It's what I dug. Honestly, the biggest purpose of these videos is that if there's an album you missed out on, if there's a genre you're trying to get into, if there's an artist you're trying to get into, hopefully a couple of these will pique your interest, get you to check them out, and hopefully bring you as much joy as they have me. So without further ado, part 1 of my top 15 albums of 2015. We're going alphabetically by artists since ordering them is such a pain in the ass and so fucking arbitrary anyway. So pick number 1, Abysmal by Black Dahlia Murder. This is 7 albums now of just death metal gold. For me to say that Abysmal is their best album to date would definitely be a rash statement, since a lot of their albums kind of blend together for me, because they really stuck to the same style, that combination of 90s brutal death metal and the melodic death metal stylings of an At the Gates. But Abysmal is an incredibly focused album. It gets its point across in 38 minutes, 10 songs, not a wasted album. Pick number 2 is Venom by Bullet for My Valentine. Jesus Christ, who the fuck thought we would have seen this? The band puts out 2 great albums to start their career, with The Poison and Scream and Fire, the latter of which was more of a metal album, the former which is a little more rooted in emo, alternative, post-hardcore, though it certainly had its metal moments. Album number 3, Fever, we started to see it watered down a little bit, though I certainly enjoyed it. Then album number 4, Temper Temper, in 2013, they really hit a brick wall, especially critically, with the band even themselves admitting a little bit later that they weren't fans of the album, that it was too watered down. So here they are, they come back in 2014 with a new song called Raising Hell. They're working with Terry Date of Pantera fame. We're going back to our roots. We're making a heavy album. That's what every fucking band says with every album, so I went into it really suspicious. But motherfucker, if I wasn't wrong. They did exactly what they set out to do. They made a more aggressive album that still has that commercial crossover appeal of a Bullet for My Valentine album. Personally, even though people get mad at them for their kind of mainstream style, especially the metal purists, I couldn't see Matt Tuck playing a melodic death metal song or a straight hardcore song. That's Bullet for My Valentine's sound. That's where they excel. And with Venom, they made easily their best album since Scream and Fire, arguably writing some of their best material to date. with songs like If You Want a Battle, Here's a War, No Way Out, the really well-executed ballad with the title track, Venom. Again, this is all about subjective enjoyment, and when I bought this album, motherfucker was I skeptical. But this stayed in my car for 2 straight weeks. It sounds great. The playing, although they've never really been virtuosos, is heightened for sure. Padge has some great solos on here. And if you were ever a fan of any Bullet for Valentine, really any Atreyu albums, any Avenged Sevenfold albums, you see where I'm going here. That style of music, that extremely accessible, hardcore influenced hard rock / metal, Venom is right up your alley. Definitely one of the biggest surprises of 2015. Check it out if you haven't yet. Next up, we got Bring Me the Horizon with That's the Spirit. If Bullet for Valentine was this much of a surprise, Bring Me the Horizon is somewhere up here. It's actually pretty ironic that these two albums sit next to each other in the alphabet. So when it comes to Bring Me the Horizon, I am a day one hater. When Suicide Season came out in like 08, 09, it got a lot of hype, a lot of buzz with the magazines and the articles and blogs that I was reading, but I couldn't have been more against it. I thought it was screamo for 13-year-old emo girls. Absolutely hated it. Fast forward to 2015, That's the Spirit comes out, cracks like number 2 on the Billboard charts. And I'm like, oh, I gotta listen to this thing. No previews of any music, nothing. I just show up to FYE and buy a copy. And I don't even know if you can call it a guilty pleasure because it's so good. Really, it's just a big stylistic shift that may have resonated more with a listener like me. The songs are just dripping with raw emotion to the point where it is very difficult if you have an ounce of angst in you to not connect with what vocalist Ollie Sykes is saying and just the overall sound of the album. Like Avenged Sevenfold with City of Evil before them, Bring Me the Horizon have made a blueprint for how to cross over with style if you are a metalcore band. Drown, Avalanche, Blasphemy, True Friends, Throne, Doomed, Happy Song. You can't deny the songs. Don't be above this one. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. Carly Rae Jepsen, Emotion. I know I'm not ordering this list, but this is without a doubt my number 2 pick. If your head was above ground in 2015, you can probably guess what number 1 is. You can assume that it's coming somewhere in the K's, if we're talking alphabetical by artist. But back to this. My God, is this a phenomenal pop album. My God, is this a phenomenal music album. Sorry, need to amend that. The songs on here, look, I hated Call Me Maybe. I'm not even someone who bought into that. That was right before my freshman year of college. Everyone loved it. I thought it was fucking annoying. I didn't want to ever hear it. Emotion comes around, and a couple of writers that I really trust loved it. So I listened, and I never really stopped listening in the 4 months that it's been out. It has been non-stop in my Spotify, iTunes, and brain rotation. The songs don't go away as much as you even want them to. The catchiness of Run Away With Me and the title track, of course, I Really Like You, but also the ballad, All That, Let's Get Lost. These are pop perfection. What's ironic is this is probably the least masculine album I'm going to talk about on this list, but it's probably the most aggressive I'm going to get when talking about an album. Because quite frankly, if you don't like 4 or 5 songs on Emotion, I would like you to please unsubscribe to my channel. Never talk to me again, whether virtually, in person, over the phone, over Skype. Okay, look, maybe you just resonated with me. But the fact is, I haven't seen 80s pop's heyday as well represented on a mainstream album in a long time. I just feel really strongly about Emotion. I really wish it got love from the Grammys. I really wish it got love from the American record-buying public in general, because to me, this is a better album than Taylor Swift's 1989. Maybe not a better marketed album. But let's cut to the chase. If you are indifferent right now, or if you're kind of trepidatious in listening to an entire album of Carly Rae Jepsen, I've got the track list right here. I'm going to give you 5 songs to start with. Making the Most of the Night, Run Away With Me, the title track Emotion, All That, Let's Get Lost, and if you're still loving it, Your Type. Try those out, and you're going to be dancing like a 5-year-old girl, whether you like it or not. My fifth pick and the final for part 1 of this list, Cattle Decapitation's The Anthropocene Extinction. Dear metal gods, I hope that I said that right. Metal that's this extreme, death grind, gore grind, grindcore, anything with grind in it, is usually not my cup of tea. But I've always been very aware of how prominent Cattle Decapitation is with their anti-animal abuse messages and just their skill as musicians. I own Humanure, I own The Harvest Floor. I was kind of indifferent to them, but when this album came out, it got a lot of love from the metal underground, and I had to check it out. The most important thing for me to get across, aside from the essentially inhuman musical capabilities of the band members involved, is vocalist and band leader Travis Ryan, who is in a whole other class as an extreme metal vocalist. He has this demonic but melodic shriek that gives this album and this band a signature stamp. Amidst all of the brutality and the chaos, you're going to get these oddly catchy choruses in the middle of it. It's a very dynamic album for that reason, not to mention their keen awareness of when exactly to change up the tempo to keep things interesting and not just a dial tone, which is what a lot of more brutal extreme metal sounds like in 2015, unfortunately. They really made a statement with this thing, and I urge any metal fan to at least check it out, give it one full listen. Me personally, they have a converted fan. I can't wait to see them on this touring cycle and see this stuff perform live. And I'm also eager to dive into some of their contemporaries and see what I may have been missing with my ears a little closed off to this style of metal.